It is Chairshot Reality on WrestleZone.com each and every single week. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CSR Wrestling. Starting the weekend off with breaking and sad news, the passing of the 9th wonder of the world, Chyna. She was found dead in her California apartment Wednesday night. As of us speaking now, there's been no official cause of death clarified, but obviously they're investigating, guys, that overdose would be very possible given her public battle with addiction, and she's 46. No foul play. Just that's kind of where the next stop goes to investigating and reasoning. I guess we'll go around the horn here first and just thoughts, memories, opinions.
I mean, first of all, just giving thoughts all to the family, to the friends, everyone within the professional wrestling world. I think it's definitely something that hits not only hard with us wrestlers, but with a lot of fans. You know, she was the type of woman that will come into your house, bring you in, drill you in, and you're right there. You feel like you're a part of Chyna's family. So, you know, huge thoughts and memories, and, you know, just a lot of heartfelt sympathy for her and her family. I can say so much about her, so many different matches I remember, especially the triple threat with, I believe, Trish and Ivory, man. So, thoughts out.
It's weird. I will always try to remember, you know, how I'll never forget that debut. You know, her stalking Marlena and shaking her like a rag doll. It's tough because that's what I want to try to make sure that she gets remembered for me, because I had one opportunity to meet her, and it was in January 2012. Did an interview with her at Triple Live Radio Studios, and she was very pleasant to be around, completely pleasant to be around. Unfortunately, as we'd find out, she didn't even make her engagement that night that she was supposed to go to, public engagement. So she was not the healthiest and happiest. So it's hard because as a fan, you try to put that out of your mind. I can never forget it. But I try to think back and think of the match. You know, watching her at WrestleMania 17 live, you know, and trying to remember the good times that she had, because the word was used. I used it in my trip column. Triple H used it. Stephanie used it all in their tweets. Pioneer. I mean, pioneer.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Absolutely.
And I just hope that Chyna is remembered, like you said, Justin, for the good days, the impact she made on the industry, for not just all wrestlers, but women wrestlers specifically, because if it weren't for her, you may not have a women's division where it's at now. She brought that different look. She wasn't a Mae Young or Fabulous Moolah. She had a whole different look to her that she brought in. I mean, I think of her and what the Nicole Bass thing and just what they were as women in the mid-90s. But I also want to say, I wish that Chyna would have had all this recognition the past couple years, given the opportunity when she was still alive to know that she was this much appreciated, not for the bad things or the unpleasant things she's decided to do with her life. I want her to be known for the Chyna that had a great positive impact on WWE programming. And I've been going back and forth on my thoughts on people coming out of the woodwork on Twitter and saying, "We miss you, you were a great friend." We know that now. It's easy to say that now. I just wish we could have had that true sentiment come out when she was still alive, and she could have appreciated that, taken that, and maybe had an opportunity to make her health even better.
Yeah, and when I look at what happened here, you know, I remember Chyna for some of the great things that she did with the company. I mean, I don't know if there was somebody who was viewed as a pro wrestler as a female. She came out, she didn't look appealing to the eye. A few years later, she's on the cover of Playboy. That's saying something. The fact that she was able to transition, I mean, some surgeries and everything, but the way she was able to transition her look and her character to the point of really just generic, tough, scary-looking woman to Eddie Guerrero's love interest, and how she really blossomed her character and her personality on TV there. I'd love to see that from point A to point B. I couldn't agree with you more, Brian, about the fact that people are coming out now and saying, you know, she was great, she was this, she was that, but yet for the past couple of years, she's been kind of a black shadow. She's been putting a cast over her, and people aren't really talking to her and bringing her in. I wonder, and I really mean this, and this might be a very controversial topic, but if she didn't have the relationship that she did with Triple H, would she have gotten the help that Scott Hall have gotten and been able to turn his life around? Because you might not be able to compare addiction to addiction. I've never been addicted to drugs or anything like that in my entire life, and I have no idea what that goes through for anybody. But if she was so close, would WWE have reached out to her and tried to provide help for her?
Well, the one devil's advocate thing I will say is we don't know for sure that maybe they did try, and I mean, we don't know for sure. But I see what you're saying.
But she's been very outspoken with things over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of the few people who, you know, no bridge seems like it's ever burnt with WWE. You know, we've seen WWE take back. We've talked about this before. Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, all these people at one point.
Macho Man.
Oh yeah, all these people at one point that we thought that we'll never see him again. And Chyna was, you know, it's been 15 years, she was an exception.
And one thing I just want to say is, where would DX have been successful as they were with Chyna? I don't think so. You could have done with Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and then ultimately the New Age Outlaws and X-Pac. But Chyna brought that attitude, that different look to DX that you would never. She was the serious one. Yeah. She stood like this. She didn't crack a smile. Yeah. She did all the gimmick stuff with Triple H and Shawn. And it was. I just think without her, DX. Yeah. From now until WWE goes away, whenever that may be, if ever, you're going to have to, they need to make good by her to show that DX wasn't just those two, she was a pivotal part.
So on that point, does Chyna ever go to the WWE Hall of Fame?
I would love to see her go.
But I'm asking. I know Steve Austin asked Triple H. Triple H gave an answer that certainly got people talking. Yeah. Does it ever happen?
I think a lot of times, and this goes even beyond wrestling, a lot of times we have the natural intent to allow people to smell the roses, but after they're already, deceased. I think with this being the case, I believe for the family, for everyone else, that she will go. Hopefully, I would like to see it as soon as possible. It's on the fence.
She will go, but I also, I don't want to hear people say it's about money. WWE will do it now to capitalize off her. That's not what this is about. Yeah. This is about someone who was as successful and prominent as her, getting her place in WWE. Right now, non-physical, physical or non-physical, she should be in the Hall of Fame.
I think she gets into the Hall of Fame as well. And I think, as cynical as it sounds, I think her death is the only reason right now that they'd put her in there.
And I don't think it should be next year.
Yeah, give it some time.
Exactly.
Sure, no, I agree. Because that just seems too hypocritical if they're saying, "Wow, now we're going to put her in." After this entire time, saying, "Oh, we're not even acknowledging her because of what she's done."
Unless there is some type of social media push from the fans saying, like hashtag induct Chyna or something.
I'm starting to see it a little bit.
Very, very good point. I finish it off. I do think she will make the Hall of Fame. I'd be surprised if it's next year. I do think maybe in the next couple years. But I think two reasons. One, kind of what you touched on. It's unfortunate how this happens, but when people die, that's when their legacy seems to, that's when they get a little bit more immortalized and remembered and appreciated, and people come out of the woodwork and say what maybe they should have said when the person's alive. The other one, and this some WWE people might not want to hear this, but I think the fact that I think a fear they had of putting her in the Hall of Fame, never mind what happens when you Google her, but I think a fear that people in WWE had, you give her a live mic.
What she says,
What can she say? But she can't make a speech. And that sounds really dark and really cold, but in the past, they'll let whoever talk. Who cares if Scott Hall and Kevin Nash talk about the business and how they left Vince in the middle of the night, or not in the middle of the night, but you know what I mean. Who cares if Alundra or Medusa talks about dropping a belt in the trash? It was all business stuff. Yeah. But with what Chyna has in her past is a lot of personal. Yeah. So,
but I don't think, to that point, I agree with what your sentiment is on that, but I don't think if they gave her that opportunity, she wanted to mend those bridges. I don't think she would have burned those bridges right away.
I like to,
but the fear of the unknown is what WWE
right.
has.
I would like to think if all parties came together and buried whatever hatchet, and we don't know, none of us know. If they buried whatever hatchets exist.
Look at Warrior.
If they buried whatever hatchets exist, and they were going to put the marketing team behind having her in the Hall of Fame, I'd like to think too that she would not at all tarnish that moment by bringing up hatchets that they just buried. But as Josh just said, you never know.
And just closing point, remember, for the good times, not the bad.
Absolutely.
Good times.
At Josh Eisenberg 4, at Brian Goulash, at Renell Hunt 7.
Got it.
At Justin LeBar. We got plenty more to talk about this weekend. Vic Travaglianti from House of Hardcore play-by-play. He joins us as well.